as a contested case intervener, and that must be taken care of before the actual item on the agenda. So at this time, I'd like to call the petitioner forward, also a representative for the planning department, and a representative from the permit holder to come forward. Please raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter before the Planning Commission today?
Yes.
Thank you. If you would please introduce yourself and proceed to explain why you believe that your petition is in good standing under Rule 46B, the Planning Commission's rules for excuse me, determining standing. Thank you.
I think I wrote a pretty long written description. Would you like me to read that?
If you could summarize that description,
Okay.
That would be good for everyone present.
I moved here in 1996, and I took up real estate, and I used to enjoy Sunday drives up the Hamakua coast exploring. My specialty was agricultural real estate, and I discovered Pepicale Point and the roads that you used to be able to access the shoreline very simply. The Sugar Cane Company left the gates open. They expected people to fish off the cliffs. Anyway, I was enjoying that, and I enjoyed looking at all the archaeological remains of the old village. There was quite a bit there. And researching that, I encouraged someone to open up something about the cane days in terms of the historical memorabilia that's available. But anyway, my husband and I own a property in Lele neighborhood, and we have an ancholine pond, and we would go out there and fish to stock our pond. And I was actually shown the cliffs in, I think it was 99, by John Cross, the field manager of Seabrewer, or of Mauna Kea Agribusiness. And there used to be like little fire pits and places where people would fish off the cliff. It was very noticeable. I found it all very charming and exciting, and I even went for hikes with the Sierra Club, and I participated in all of the SMA hearings that were involved with the subdivision of 1,000 acres surrounding the plant. And I was the only one who went to every single hearing in SMA and the zoning bill. I didn't miss one. And that was hours and hours over a year and a half. Even when they rescheduled it, I appeared and testified. It's an enormous amount of energy that I put into trying to protect my rights to access the shoreline for recreation. I own a B&B in Hilo, in Lele, and it's my firm belief from talking to my guests at breakfast that they're not going to like these log trucks coming down the Hamakua coast. That's protected, I believe, because we call it the Hilo Hamakua Heritage Corridor, and there was money gotten from the National Park Service to survey all the special sites along there and publish a drive guide. Anyway, my belief is that those trucks coming from Pahala past the Volcano National Park up Bayfront and coming down the coast is going to change the town of Hilo for 30 years. I believe it's going to disrupt the cultural and recreational scenic value of Hilo Bay and our downtown, and it's going to affect my property and my use of my property. It's going to limit me. I won't be able to have a B&B because there won't be enough people coming to Hilo. They're going to avoid Hilo, in my opinion. And I guess under Rule 4, basically I'm saying that I have an injury in fact. But I also believe I have a procedural injury, meaning that I believe what's happening is illegal. And I have a right, because my interests are being affected, that I have a right to, it's the last quote on my submission, that I have a right to protest and be involved if they're doing something illegal. Or my government is, my county government. So that's my position.
Thank you. I'll ask the representative from the planning department to discuss whether they feel, whether they have any objections to the petition.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Ronald Kim. I'm a Deputy Corporation Counsel representing the Director for the Planning Department, Michael Yee, at this proceeding. The Planning Director would object to this petition to intervene as being untimely, and that is based upon the Planning Commission's own rule, Rule 4-6A, which does require a party who is seeking to intervene in a proceeding to do so no less than 7 days prior to the first meeting on the matter. In this case, the first meeting on the matter occurred May 7th, 2010. And actually the petitioner did seek to intervene in that proceeding after that meeting, and the Planning Commission in 2010, on July 13th, 2010, denied that petition as being untimely. So if the petition was untimely in 2010, it's certainly still untimely now. We don't have a new matter or a new application before the Planning Commission now. What we have before the Commission is a remand from the Intermediate Court of Appeals to consider a narrow issue of the impacts of the outfall on the public trust and our natural resources. So it's not a whole new matter, it's a limited remand. Now I am not going to get into the arguments about injury in fact, because I believe, or the Planning Department's position is that as a threshold issue, the petition is untimely, so we shouldn't spend time going into these other issues if as a threshold the petitioner didn't meet the deadline needed to intervene as a party. Now, having said that, the petitioner is able to give testimony as a member of the public to express her concerns, but she can't actually intervene in the case as a party. That would be the Planning Department's position. And I would say that the rule itself sets forth the requirements, and with all due respect to the Commission, you don't really have discretion or leeway to change those requirements.
You'll
you
get a
did
chance to
limit
respond.
what I had to speak to, and he expanded it.
No, you'll have a chance after.
Okay.
After
Please. Please hand the microphone to, please introduce yourself and then proceed.
Sure. My name is Will Yamamoto. I represent Honua Bioenergy LLC, the property, I don't want to say property owner, but the lessee of the property who has an interest in the property in this matter. We join in the Planning Department's position on this. We believe that the petition for standing on the contested, requesting a contested case hearing is untimely based on Planning Commission Rules 4-6A. And as a threshold matter, we agree that on that basis alone, the petitioner should not be allowed to have standing in this matter. In addition to that, if the Planning Commission looks back in the record, on August 12 of 2010, the Planning Commission already made a ruling as to Ms. Rohr's standing when she petitioned to intervene back then. And they deemed two things. One is that her petition was untimely, and the second is that her interest is not clearly distinguishable from that of the general public. So I just wanted the Planning Commission to know that.
Please respond if you wish, Ms. Rohr.
I started out my petition to intervene with stating why I believed the letter that Warren Lee wrote to the commission asking for this hearing today was asking for new approval of new development that wasn't part of the original application. That they are asking you to approve injection wells, 3 of them, and also use of the old mill foundation and outfall. They want to tie their stormwater system into it. And they have plans to do construction. They didn't have that in 2011. But now there's a letter which I've provided you that says that they're planning on doing construction. They say it's 82 feet from the shoreline. I say it's in the shoreline area. But anyway, they also are building a, they call it a water treatment building and facility. I call it a wastewater treatment unit. And they're going to be injecting wastewater into the Hocklao Aquifer. This deserves a new amendment where you do public notification, you allow people to intervene if they so can establish their interests, and that you don't allow them under the guise of a remand to get you to approve new development in the SMA without applying, without getting a shoreline survey, without doing an EA, all of these things that they should have to do. So I'm saying that because of the letter and the nature of the letter, they're saying that they have a right to decide whether they're impacting the public trust resource, the public resources. They don't. Only government has the right to decide that. A letter that asks for you to approve so many things and to take their representation that these things are existing when there's no permits for changing the old mill building, tearing it down, using the foundation as a big catchment basin, detention basin, turning it into a sedimentation basin and using that outfall for a stormwater drainage system. There's no permits, no shoreline setback variance. It's new development in the SMA, and so are the injection wells. You know nothing about them. They haven't told you anything.
Please. Remember, this is discussion on Ms. Rohr's petition for standing as in a contested case hearing. I am not going to get into the merits of the matter before us. We'll have one more rebuttal from each of the other parties, and then we'll have public testimony if anybody wants to testify about this petition only. not about the agenda item itself. Please proceed.
I just would like to remind the Commission that what is on the agenda today, what is here before you today, is the same SMA permit. Now, the letter from Mr. Lee, it did appear to propose some changes or some difference to what was previously before the Commission, but what procedurally you're here before is still the same SMA application, same permit. Now, if you choose to deny the permit, then you might have a new application, new permit, and then that would open the door for parties to intervene. But what's here before you today presently is the remand from the ICA on the same SMA permit application.
Will Yamamoto here on behalf of Honua Bioenergy LLC. Very briefly, I'd like to address Ms. Rohr's comment and actually one comment from the Planning Department. I wanted to clarify that Mr. Lee's February 27, 2018 letter to the Planning Commission was very specific and very narrow. It was specifically addressing the single issue on remand from the ICA. And the ICA was looking at asking the Planning Commission to specifically address the impacts to the public shoreline related to any repairing or replacing of outfall 001. In that letter, we referred to essentially two things that were kind of alternatives to the use of outfall 001. One was underground injection control wells, UIC wells, and that is not new. That was discussed during the original 2010 contested case. And in fact, the Planning Department confirmed that in its December 27, 2017 letter. So we referenced that in our letter. And in addition, the use of on-site disposal to take care of the development-generated stormwater. That's something we mentioned in the letter. That also is not new. In fact, this Planning Commission issued in its decision and order back in 2011 a line item that talks about us doing on-site disposal to address water discharge, and that's what we're complying with. So our position is that nothing is new that we've introduced by way of that letter, and that it is inappropriate for Ms. Rohr to participate as a party in this contested case hearing, which has its origins back in 2010.
Thank you. At this time, since all the parties have had their say, we'll hear from public testimony, if any.
My name is Kuhan Pak, and I believe that this is new, because even though the letter from Mr. Lee, or no, the SMA permit that was approved was approving treatment for drainage. However, it was not specified, the permit was not issued to a situation that specified the amount of changing in construction that is now being done in the old mill to create a whole, to change its use. And furthermore, this drainage is going into an outfall that does, a portion of which is on public land. So therefore, I believe that it is enough change to create a new situation different from what the permit was issued for. And yeah, the permit should be taken back because it's a different scenario. It's different enough. Thank you.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth before this matter, before the commission today?
I do.
Please state your name and area of residence and proceed.
My name is Keha Gus. My family is from Pepe Kale. We currently live there right now. And I don't have too much to say on this particular matter, just because I'm here for the next matter. But as far as what my friend back here said before, if this is going to move forward, there should be the proper research gone into it or given so that the public knows everything and understands all of the environmental impacts. So it should definitely be an open thing to the public, and you know, if there's nothing to hide, then why would they be hiding it? That's all I have to say.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth before this matter, on this matter before the Planning Commission today?
I do.
Please state your name and where you live and proceed.
My name is Christopher Dean. I live in Javi. And I would like to address Claudia's petition in regards to not being in a timely manner. I believe she did say that she's been to every meeting since the beginning of this thing, and that there's always ongoing changes to these kinds of projects and stuff. And she's always going to be behind of trying to catch up to any kind of changes and stuff like this. So I don't see how this argument that her petition is untimely is valid, because she has been diligently working for all these years to, you know, to make her case in various ways. And also, I believe the gentleman here stated that her grievance personal is not a part of the public concern, and it's just her personal concern. But actually that's not true, because her concern is the public's concern. That's it. Thank you.
Any questions for any of the testifiers, or any further? Oh, we have one more. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter before the commission today?
Yes.
Please
Corey
state your
Hardens,
name. And
speaking for myself on this matter, just I'm wondering, the Honua, Mr. Kim said the injection wells were discussed in 2011. I wonder in how much detail. Was it in a formal, you know, permit or just a letter? And also said on-site disposal of stormwater was also in a letter, I think in 2011. Again, how much detail was gone into? Thank you.
again, I ask, are there any questions from the rest of the commission for any of the testifiers or parties? Forward at this time so you can be sworn in. Please raise your right hand first. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter before the commission today?
I certainly do.
Would you please introduce yourself and proceed?
My name is Gino Gus. I'm a resident of Petitioner. I would like to support this lady's grievance, and I would like to testify that I think that her trying to intervene at this time is timely, and it should not be seen as not produced to you in a timely manner, because it is the feeling of many of the people that care deeply about the way this project has been taken on, that the permits and assurances that they claim to have, I believe many of them were granted so far back that they were really granted for the boilers and for the machinery and the use that the sugar mill had at the time. And the fact that they are purporting that this use be granted for a completely new usage, including injecting wastewater into our pristine aquifer that we use for our keiki and our ohana to drink. It's extremely disturbing, and I believe that her trying to intervene in a timely way, it's very hard for people of the public to keep up with a bureaucracy like this one. We need to be listened to and she needs to be heeded and not just swept aside because going on the ruse that it's not done in a timely manner. The community and this lady at this juncture needs to be taken seriously. And I would implore you to not sweep her aside by saying that it's a technicality that she is not timely in her grievance. I think it's extremely timely, and I think that if you do your job properly, you will look back and see that many of the things purported in their assertion are not timely and are not represented properly as far as their claim to their permits, their EPA, their the other rules that they are supposed to comply with. I think that you really need to seriously think about her grievance. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments from the commission? At this time, I'd like to ask that public testimony be closed on the petition for standing. A motion for that?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that public testimony be closed on this petition for standing. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public testimony is closed.
If you say something against it,
Pardon me?
when I say something against it, but they say
No, I'm sorry. Public testimony was just closed, sir. The petition for standing be denied. Any further discussion amongst the commission? I guess I'd like a roll call vote on this one, please.
Aye.
Commissioner Ikeda?
Aye.
Commissioner Aguinaldo?
Aye.
Commissioner Dela Cruz?
Aye.
Commissioner Replogle?
No.
And Chair Clarkson?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries 5-1.